typical, durable, badass Mexican fighter.
Undisputed UFC flyweight champion of the world, Brandon, the Assassin Baby Moreno! UFC flyweight championship of the world.
Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Moreno 2. Fight fans, welcome back to another Legends of Combat production. UFC 290 during International Fight Week features two huge title fights. Today, we'll focus on the co-main event, a 5-round title fight in the flyweight division that's sure to be a barn burner with fireworks throughout. It's a clash of titans in the flyweight division as the charismatic champion, Brandon the Assassin Baby Moreno, puts his hard-earned belt on the line against the relentless challenger, Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja. These two warriors are primed and ready to leave it all in the octagon. It's speed, technique, heart, toughness and raw determination all coming together in a battle that promises to leave us breathless. Brandon Moreno, the Mexican sensation, has captivated fans worldwide with his remarkable rise.
We taught each other in fight week. This for me is very hard. I understand the people, man. Definitely understand the people. But the people need to understand. I'm just a guy who was trying to get food for his family, and that's it.
From the Ultimate Fighter to being cut in the UFC to becoming the flyweight champ 2 separate times. Moreno is a humble but supremely confident fighter, and while becoming the first Mexican-born champion in UFC history, he's proven time and time again that he's the real deal.
My boxing is amazing now. I'm ready for the big stage right now. I feel on fire, bro. I feel on fire.
You looked on fire, sir. Congratulations. Brandon Moreno, ladies and gentlemen.
Viva Mexico!
Moreno's lightning-fast strikes, his relentless grappling skills, and that infectious smile have turned him into an overnight sensation. But don't count out Alexandre Pantoja, folks. This Brazilian powerhouse is no stranger to the limelight. With his vicious knockout power and submission prowess, Pantoja is an absolute force to be reckoned with. He's hungry for gold, and he'll stop at nothing to claim the flyweight championship as his own. The stakes are high. Both fighters are at the peak of their careers, and the title belt is the ultimate prize. It's a clash of styles, personalities, and sheer determination that will leave you on the edge of your seat, begging for more. Join us as we break down every aspect of this explosive matchup, from the fighters' strengths and weaknesses. This fight holds immense significance for both warriors, with flyweight division supremacy on the line, making this a fight you don't want to miss. So, ground and pound the subscribe and like buttons as we preview this awesome co-main for UFC 290. Where it all began. On May 11, 2016, the UFC announced the upcoming season of The Ultimate Fighter, featuring 16 talented flyweight champions from diverse organizations worldwide.
We decided to go out and bring in every champion from all the other organizations on the planet to find out, can anyone beat Demetrius Johnson? Every one of these guys has the talent to win this whole thing.
On July 20th, the cast for the season was officially unveiled, with Joseph Benavidez and Henry Cejudo, flyweight contenders, taking on the roles of coaches. Among them was Alexandre Pantoja, proudly representing Team Cejudo. As the top-ranked fighter on Team Cejudo, Pantoja clashed with Brandon Moreno from Team Benavidez in his debut match. In an intense showdown, Pantoja emerged triumphant, submitting Brandon Moreno in the second round. This victory secured Pantoja, but in the reality show's quarterfinals. And although it didn't count as an official fight, being on the set of The Ultimate Fighter ignited the flames of a fierce and enduring rivalry between the two warriors.
I feel bad because he just lost. I feel bad. I mean, I'm happy for Alexandre, but I would have been a little happier if Brandon would have won.
Brandon, you know, he didn't get the win, but he fought his heart out, you know, and that's all you can do. You can't control that result.
Winner by rear naked choke, Alexandre.
Pantoja continued his journey and ultimately reached the semi-finals of The Ultimate Fighter before losing, and was signed to the UFC shortly afterward, but more on the challenger later. Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno, hailing from Tijuana, Baja, California, Mexico, was brought up in a humble family that ran a piñata business. He wanted to shed some weight at 12, prompting his mother to enroll him at the nearby Entram gym. It was there that Moreno embarked on his journey in mixed martial arts. Humble UFC beginnings. In 2016, Brandon Moreno embarked on his UFC journey with an impressive professional record of 11-3. Before joining the UFC, he achieved significant success in the World Fighting Federation, an MMA promotion based in Phoenix, Arizona. He rose to become the champ of the organization's flyweight division and defended the belt 3 times. His remarkable achievements led to an invitation to participate in the 24th season of the renowned reality television show, The Ultimate Fighter Tournament of Champions. As mentioned, during his stint on The Ultimate Fighter, Brandon Moreno faced a disappointing outcome as he was defeated in his first fight of the competition by Pantoja. However, even so, during the season of The Ultimate Fighter was still airing, Moreno made his promotional debut in the UFC. He stepped into the octagon against Louis Smolka at a UFC Fight Night event in Portland in October 2016. Displaying his skills and determination, Moreno emerged victorious with a slick guillotine submission in the opening round.
He's going to tap. Are you going to pass up? Whoa! Brandon Moreno! Submits the 5-1 favorite!
This initial triumph propelled Moreno forward, and he continued to build his momentum with subsequent victories over Ryan Benoit and Dustin Ortiz. Moreno sought to prove himself as a force to be reckoned with in the UFC to ultimately become the best in the world. You can't catch a break. Unfortunately, Brandon Moreno's promising journey hit a snag. He faced his first significant setback in the UFC when he competed in his inaugural main event. The pressure was even more heightened as the event occurred in his home country of Mexico in August 2017. Standing across from him in the octagon that night was Sergio Pettis, who later became the bantamweight champion in Bellator, and unfortunately for Moreno, he lost via decision, continuing his up-and-down UFC journey. UFC 223. The string of misfortune continued for Brandon Moreno during the lead-up to UFC 223, which was supposed to be another significant event for him. This card witnessed Khabib Nurmagomedov capturing the vacant lightweight championship and Rose Namajunas emerging victorious in her rematch against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. However, UFC 223 will forever be remembered for a different reason entirely. The event's build-up turned into a chaotic ordeal, overshadowing everything else. This was the infamous incident involving Conor McGregor. In a shocking turn of events, McGregor and his entourage stormed into the Barclays Center, where a bus carrying fighters was leaving the venue. McGregor attacked, throwing objects through the bus window to reach Khabib. The altercation stemmed from a heated incident between Khabib and McGregor's teammate, Artem Lobov, which had circulated on social media. As a result of this unprecedented incident, multiple fights had to be cancelled at the last minute. Unfortunately, Brandon Moreno was also affected by the chaotic turn of events. His scheduled fight against Ray Borg had to be put on hold because Borg got glass shards in his eye from the shattered bus window. The entire situation was an absolute mess and created significant turmoil for the event. UFC downfall. The matchup between Moreno and Borg was then relocated to a Fight Night card in Chile, which took place a month after UFC 223. Unfortunately, Borg had to withdraw from the fight again due to his child undergoing brain surgery.
You know, there's nothing really in life that'll prepare you for something like this. Having to see, your kid, go through something like that, and not only, your kid, but, mine and my wife's first kid, well, we're already scared of every little thing, and, this comes about, and it's scary, him being so little and having to undergo 2 brain surgeries, and, the scary part is, as he's back there, you never know him being so small, how they're going to react to the surgeries or anything like that, and constantly having to see him hooked up to machines. It's heartbreaking, man. Nothing will quite.
Instead, Moreno found himself pitted once again against his old rival, Alexandre Pantoja. This allowed Moreno to seek revenge for his previous loss to Pantoja during their time on The Ultimate Fighter. Despite his hopes, Moreno was unable to secure a victory, and he experienced another frustrating decision defeat against Pantoja.
So far, hurt him a couple times, but I think he's content to see the final bell unless he gets an easy opportunity to finish. Under 20. Pantoja to come forward and give him something.
And Moreno throwing a Hail Mary in the final seconds. Pantoja said that will not be.
The Cannibal, Alexandre Pantoja.
Following this loss, Moreno faced a period of inactivity for the remainder of 2018, and ultimately in 2019 was cut from the UFC's roster. And in what seems like many instances in life overall, this may have been the best thing for him, as it let the ultimate fire of competition under him and stoked the greatest comeback story in UFC history. Moreno then explored the free agency market and signed a deal with the American promotion Legacy Fighting Alliance, LFA. In a challenging debut for LFA, he competed for the LFA flyweight title against champion Michael Perez at LFA 69 in California. Moreno showcased his skills and stopped Perez in the 4th round by TKO, ending Perez's championship reign.
Perez is hurt. Moreno
Big shots now to steal the title away from the champion. Beltran warning Perez. Over and out.
Oh, body.
Brandon Moreno is your new
and becoming the new LFA flyweight champion. This victory marked Moreno's second championship in his career, in the big time. Soon after his LFA title, the UFC called again and wanted to resign Moreno, who quickly accepted. Upon his return to the UFC, Moreno was given the welcoming committee role as he faced off against the debuting Russian fighter Askar Askarov. After their chaotic and unpredictable battle, the fight between Moreno and Askarov was ultimately declared a draw. Rather than immediately seeking a rematch, both fighters embarked on an impressive rampage through the division. Moreno went on a 3-fight win streak against the toughest competition, including Kai Kara-France, Jossier Formiga, and Brandon Royal. At this point, he was given his first UFC flyweight title shot against Davison Figueiredo. By far his toughest fight to date. What unfolded next was an extraordinary battle that'll forever be remembered as one of the greatest fights in UFC flyweight history. Figueiredo and Moreno engaged in a grueling 25-minute showdown, trading blows in an exhilarating back-and-forth exchange. The fight was so intense and unpredictable that even seasoned UFC announcer Joe Rogan couldn't contain his excitement, exclaiming, "This is crazy." During the third round, Figueiredo landed an illegal low blow, resulting in a point deduction and altering the course of the fight. As a result, the judges rendered a majority draw decision, with two judges scoring the bout 47-47 after the deduction, and the third judge scoring it 48-46 in favor of the champion.
Cards for decision. Derek clearly scores the contest, 47-46. Figueiredo. Sally Amato scores it, 47-47. And Junichiro Kamijo scores it, 47-47. Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is a majority draw. And still, the undisputed UFC flyweight champion of the world.
It was a stunning conclusion to an already wild fight. Immediately following the decision, Megan O'Leary interviewed UFC President Dana White, who declared that Figueiredo and Moreno should have an immediate rematch. 6 months later, their wish was granted as they stepped into the octagon again, ready to settle the score. The rematch between Figueiredo and Moreno unfolded in stark contrast to their initial encounter. The bout took a completely one-sided turn, with both fighters eager to prove themselves. From the beginning, Moreno took control of the fight and never relinquished it. He wasted no time asserting his dominance, dropping Figueiredo with a powerful jab in the first round and maintaining a relentless and confident offensive onslaught. The Assassin Baby showcased his versatility by incorporating takedowns in the second round, demonstrating his ability to out-grapple Figueiredo. And in the third round, Moreno capitalized on his momentum, securing a victory by submitting Figueiredo with a rear naked choke, thus claiming the UFC Flyweight Championship.
And he's got one arm in play. Oh my goodness. He is under the chin.
Figueiredo Winston here.
Figueiredo has that hand defending.
Look at the champion, 3 minutes now to go round 3.
Elbow, look at this, he's under the chin! He's under the chin! Oh my God, he's got it! He's got it!
He's still fighting. Looks like
it's
Brandon Moreno has done it! Tijuana! You have a champion! Brandon Moreno is the undisputed UFC.
For Moreno, the moment was surreal. He knelt quietly in the octagon, absorbing the significance of his achievement, while the passionate crowd in Arizona erupted with excitement. It was truly unforgettable for Moreno, solidifying his place as the new flyweight champion.
Yo, this moment, man, this moment is so amazing, bro. This life, man, this life. Just to release me to a company, I was on the border of my life. Man, but watch me now, talking with you, holding this heavy belt, man. I feel so amazing, bro. I feel amazing, bro.
Brandon Moreno's journey from being cut from the UFC to becoming a champion in just 3 years is a remarkable story, reminiscent of a Hollywood script. The immense adversity he faced throughout his UFC career was evident in the overwhelming display of emotion upon capturing the UFC gold. Moreno's path was filled with ups and downs, setbacks and triumphs, making his championship victory even more meaningful. The turbulence he endured before reaching the pinnacle of his division is a testament to his resilience, determination, and unwavering belief in himself. But their rivalry was far from over, and the UFC couldn't ignore the excitement generated by their first 2 fights. As a result, Moreno and Figueiredo were booked for a highly anticipated trilogy match at UFC 270. Similar to their initial encounter, The third fight between Figueiredo and Moreno lasted 25 minutes and proved to be another closely contested battle. However, one noticeable difference was the electrifying atmosphere created by the passionate Mexican fans in Anaheim, California, which added to the intensity of the bout. Unfortunately for the enthusiastic Moreno supporters, Figueiredo did enough in the eyes of the judges to reclaim the flyweight title and bring it back to Brazil, replicating his victory from their initial meeting. The most significant moment of the fight occurred in the third round when Figueiredo dropped Moreno and attempted a submission before the round ended. However, in typical Moreno fashion, the resilient fighter bounced back and won rounds 4 and 5 on some of the judges' scorecards. The victory was a major milestone for Figueiredo, who couldn't contain his emotions after the hard-fought triumph.
The Figueiredo corner is very happy with what's going on right now.
Having switched training camps from his native Brazil to fight ready in Arizona for this bout, Figueiredo's dedication and sacrifices paid off. However, the win didn't come without controversy. The judges' scoring for rounds 1, 2 and 3 was unanimous.
All three judges scored this contest 48-47 for the winner. Undisputed UFC flyweight champion of the world.
Following the fight, Figueiredo needed time away from the octagon to recover from injuries, resulting in him being sidelined for the remainder of 2022. Not content to wait for Figueiredo's recovery, Moreno seized the opportunity presented by the UFC to fight Kai Kara-France for the interim flyweight belt at UFC 277. In a dominant performance, Moreno secured a decisive victory over Kara-France, delivering a brutal body kick that showcased his skills. Impressed by Moreno's performance, Dana wasted no time setting up a fourth bout between Figueiredo and Moreno at UFC 283 in Brazil.
Do you want to fight for a third time?
Recognizing the thrilling nature of their previous encounters, White expressed his enthusiasm for the rematch, stating, "It's one of those unique, freaky deals where who doesn't want to see that fight again?" With both fighters poised to meet again, fans eagerly awaited the highly anticipated showdown to determine the undisputed flyweight champion. After 4 intense battles and over an hour spent inside the octagon, Brandon Moreno finally ended his rivalry with Deiveson Figueiredo at UFC 283. The decisive moment came in the third round when Moreno unleashed a devastating punch that caused significant swelling and a cut near Figueiredo's eye. With the round ending, Figueiredo's corner called in a doctor to assess the damage, and it was determined that he couldn't continue.
The doctor is going to stop the fight, and he has done it, and that means the rivalry and the undisputed flyweight title.
Moreno enters his fight to settle his rivalry against Pantoja, just as he did against Figueiredo. It's worth examining his skill set and how he plans to secure victory. Striking. Overall, Moreno's mixed martial arts game has grown consistently since he first demonstrated some talent on TUF. However, his most recent leap in ability has come in the stand-up, as Moreno has adjusted his style and become a better boxer. Historically, Moreno liked to leap into the fray with punches, throwing quick combinations to the head and body. His habit of lunging forward often saw him eat counter-punches, particularly against more savvy kickboxers. Nowadays, Moreno stays within his stance far better, remaining balanced throughout exchanges. Notably, Moreno likes to fight heavily on his lead leg. That sounds like a risky proposition, given how many flyweights target the calf. But the baby assassin manages to avoid destroying his leg. Instead, Moreno establishes the jab from his forward leaning, often pouring with his left hand before quickly stabbing at his opponent. Moreno's bout with Kai Kara-France is perhaps the best example of his improved kickboxing. Kara-France is a well-oiled machine on the feet, an excellent mix of feints, distance management, and smart combinations. However, once Moreno's jab began to land, Kara-France lost confidence in his leadership ability. Each time he tried to fire punches, Moreno would pull his head back out of range to make his foe miss, immediately firing multiple punches. Interestingly, one of Moreno's favorite punches is the lead hand uppercut. He tends to carry his left hand low, which helps him flow into the punch smoothly, and it can be something of a double threat with his pouring jab. If the uppercut lands, it hurts, but Moreno also tends to overextend while throwing the lead uppercut, leaving him particularly vulnerable to counters. As Moreno's hands have grown effective, his kicks have only improved. Overall, Moreno is willing to throw naked kicks, but his length and speed help him make it work. In addition, Moreno will shift stances before kicking, such as when he blasted Dustin Ortiz with a perfect left kick from southpaw. Wrestling. Moreno displays killer proficiency as a takedown artist. Despite its simplicity, his approach is effective due to his size and determination, which enhance its effectiveness. Most of the time, Moreno utilizes sudden combinations to force his opponent to raise their hands in defense. This creates an opportunity for him to smoothly transition into a double-leg takedown. The Mexican athlete prefers executing this takedown along the fence, allowing him to take his time and secure a solid grip. Once locked, Moreno effortlessly lifts his opponent off the ground and slams them down. Sometimes, when his double leg attempt is thwarted against the fence, he adapts by switching to a single leg takedown. After being slammed by Moreno's double leg, his opponents frequently attempt to turn away and stand up. At this point, Moreno excels in taking their back, showcasing exceptional skill. However, if taking the back isn't feasible, he effectively maintains the clinch. From there, Moreno either lifts and returns his opponent or swiftly transitions into another double leg takedown. Apart from his improved boxing, his takedown defense and defensive scrambling have significantly enhanced his overall game. Previously susceptible to being backpacked by flyweights, Moreno has fortified his defense in that area. Whether an opponent attempts to secure his back, Moreno fights their grips and disengages. If Moreno's back is taken, he employs various techniques to regain control. Firstly, he remains constantly in motion, perpetuating the scramble and forcing his opponent to adjust. By elevating his hips during the scramble, Moreno often executes a hip heist to secure the top position or entangles his opponent's leg before transitioning into the guard. Alternatively, he employs cunning maneuvers to shake opponents off when faced with the standing back mount position. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The assassin baby clearly favors working from a top position. He excels at scrambling to the back, actively seeking to lock in a body triangle when his opponent turns away. Moreno typically prompts his opponents to make that move by softening them with elbows and punches from the top position. Additionally, he quickly transitions from the front headlock to a favorable position. His aggressive back-taking skills have resulted in 5 wins by rear naked choke. In his bout against Brandon Royal, Moreno showcased his ability to control single-leg back control, although he couldn't secure the twister submission.
Elbow again. Look at this. Moreno takes his back.
Back up the BJJ black belt, Brandon Royal.
Watch Royal kind of bring his knee up, close the door, and then force him back out.
Moreno introduced himself to the UFC's flyweight division with a vicious guillotine choke against Louis Schmolka. While he managed an early takedown, he didn't capitalize on it significantly. However, when Schmolka scrambled back to his feet and attempted a single leg takedown with his head on the outside, Moreno capitalized on the opportunity. He grabbed Schmolka's neck and fell back, securing a full guard. Despite the disadvantageous positioning, Moreno executed a high elbow guillotine, effectively cutting off both sides of Schmolka's neck and forcing the submission. Furthermore, Moreno is active and dangerous from his back as well. He actively looks for arm bars and triangles by utilizing his legs. Notably, Moreno executed a well-executed Kimura sweep against Dustin Ortiz. This sweep is particularly effective when an opponent tightly hugs the hips to maintain the top position. Later in the fight, when Moreno delivered a skull-crushing kick to Ortiz, the rear naked choke presented itself as a viable submission opportunity. All of this Moreno will be looking to apply against Pantoja, but it won't be that easy because Pantoja has gotten the better of him in the last 2 fights. So, he knows a little bit of something himself. Ultimate Fighting Championship. Making his UFC debut at UFC on Fox, Alexandre Pantoja faced off against Eric Shelton in a fiercely competitive bout. After an intense back and forth, Pantoja emerged victorious via a split decision. Building on this momentum, he continued his winning streak by defeating Eric Shelton and Neil Seery impressively. The next challenge awaited him at UFC 220, where he crossed paths with Dustin Ortiz. However, Ortiz proved a formidable adversary, showcasing his skills and securing a unanimous decision victory over Pantoja.
I did more than him, I believe, and he had my back I don't want to say most of the time, but when he controlled it, he just didn't do much with it, you know, and when I was in control, I was chopping on him, you know, I was breaking him down, I was moving him, and so yeah, absolutely, I felt like I did enough.
This marked the first blemish on Pantoja's otherwise flawless UFC record. In a twist of fate, Pantoja once again faced his old rival, Brandon Moreno. This time, Moreno was fueled by a desire for revenge, eager to make Pantoja pay for their previous encounter. Pantoja demonstrated his superiority in every aspect of the fight, despite a stronger showing from Moreno. Aptly nicknamed the Cannibal, Pantoja unleashed a barrage of strikes, landing 96, with 79 being significant strikes. In contrast, Moreno managed to land only 45 significant strikes and 50 strikes. It became apparent that Moreno sought knockout blows rather than setting up strategic traps. While Moreno did secure 2 takedowns, Pantoja dominated the ground game, maintaining control for 1 minute and 12 seconds, compared to Moreno's mere 16 seconds of control. The judges' final scores of 30-26, 30-26 and 29-27 reflected Alexandre Pantoja's dominance in the bout, securing him a well-deserved victory. Building on his success, he embarked on an impressive 3-fight win streak, triumphing over tough opponents Ulka Sasaki and Wilson Reyes. However, his winning streak ended when he faced Davison Figueiredo at UFC 240. The fight between Figueiredo and Pantoja captivated the audience as both fighters showcased their prowess throughout 3 intense rounds. Ultimately, Figueiredo emerged as the victor, securing a unanimous decision. Nevertheless, Pantoja continued to impress in the UFC.
Efficiency advantage for this striking. Oh, beautiful timing with that right hand. There's an elbow and another elbow. Boy, he's showing all the skills here.
Oh, big right from Pantoja.
Oh, step-in elbow again.
He showcased his striking power by securing a first-round knockout victory over Matt Schnell, displaying his ability to end fights with his punches. Unfortunately, Pantoja faced a setback in his journey when he encountered Askar Askarov, resulting in a loss. However, he quickly regained his footing and momentum in his subsequent matchups by earning victories over Manel Kape through a unanimous decision and Brandon Royval via a rear naked choke submission. Unfortunately, Pantoja's dreams of fighting for the belt were temporarily derailed due to a knee injury, which prevented him from stepping into the octagon for the title shot. In his most recent bout in July 2022, Alexandre Pantoja faced off against Alex Perez. Pantoja and Perez wasted no time engaging in an all-out brawl from the opening bell. Both fighters exchanged wild punches, showcasing their aggressiveness and determination. Amidst the chaos, Pantoja saw an opening and capitalized on it. He swiftly maneuvered onto Perez's back, securing a standing body triangle. With Perez trapped and unable to escape, Pantoja wasted no time applying a crushing facelock. Pressure became too much for Perez, leaving him with no option but to tap out just 91 seconds into the fight. Pantoja's quick and dominant victory demonstrated his exceptional grappling skills and ability to capitalize on opportunities. With a career record of 25-5-0, he looks to fight Moreno once more and make it 26-5. This fight has drama, intensity, and the ultimate consequence, the UFC flyweight title. As this fight promises to be worth the hype with 2 evenly matched fighters who met before and have both improved, anything can happen. Fireworks are expected, with the result unknown. With that said, let's know who you guys are rooting for in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so we keep bringing you amazing content.